Welcome to this edition of the BRSN Insider. I'm sitting down with head baseball coach Eric Peterson. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You guys closed out your regular season, 2 losses at Culver Stockton. What did you see in those 2 games?
Well, we faced a team that was fighting for their life, and when you get to the end of the season, that's a team that wants to get in the conference tournament. We probably went in there a little bit more relaxed than we needed to.
Yeah.
We knew where we were going to be, had a good idea of going in Friday. So we didn't really play as well as we should have.
Yeah.
But don't take anything away from Culver Stockton. They took us right to us. They knew what they had to do to get in the tournament, and when you face a team like that, they're going to be tough to beat, and especially senior weekend too.
But before that, though, you guys had won 8 games in a row before that. What was really clicking for you guys during those 8 games?
Well, we pitched the ball well. We came home, right? And we like playing at home. It's a park that suits what we do offensively. But really, we just got back together as one. We started playing more aggressive. Watamaniac really took over. Finley was a key piece in that. But it's a group that really came together and said, we're going to finish on a high end.
You just finished the regular season. Talk about some of the things that were most improved from Game 1 to Game 35.
Well, I think that we came together as a group. The identity was formed of what we're going to do, how we're going to be successful. We got to miss and match with guys on the mound. We got to use them at the right time. Obviously, it's all going to depend on pitching and defense. We improved in that, right? We steadily got better. But our offense has always been there. So really our first 6 guys have been a staple in our lineup, which if you can do that, you're going to be pretty successful throughout the year. But we never panicked. I said that a lot, right? Even when we lost a couple of games in a row or had a tough week, we just rebounded and got back to work, and we just stayed the course in what we know how to do.
You guys head down to Springfield, sort of like a homecoming for you and Coach Stillwell. Talk about what it's like to go back down and play where you coach.
Sure.
Where you guys coached at.
Well, it's something we talked about since day one. We got to learn how to play in Springfield, in that field, how to win a championship, because that's what we're trying to do. That's what we knew we had to do, is go win a conference championship. It's nice to go home. Coach Stillwell and I know that field like the back of our hand. We know how it plays. Our guys will be prepared to play there. But, hey, they've been there too, so they understand the significance of the field, the kind of nuances of how it plays. The big wall doesn't affect them. They understand what that does. We're just excited to get down there and play.
You guys draw MNU in the first round. Team you took 2 of 3 from the first time around in the regular season. What are some of the tougher things that they present to you guys?
Well, they compete. Their head coach has been around for a long time. They understand what they need to do to win in this league, and he's won a lot of games in the heart. So he's going to have his club prepared, ready to go week in and week out. And we had to fight to get those 2 wins or 3 wins to win the series. So I expect the same thing. Opening week or opening day of the conference tournament, they're going to come out with their best, and we're going to come out with ours.
And the conference tournament this year kind of playing out the top 5 seeds in the tournament, all within 3 games of each other. What does that say about the conference, and what does it say about how this tournament might play out?
Well, tournament setting is a flip in the coin. I think the conference is a really good conference. I think the parity up and down, the talent level, the coaches getting their teams prepared week in and week out against other conference teams. Really just shows you the strengths of the heart. And this is not going to be an easy tournament. The team that wins this thing is definitely going to have to earn it.
Now, in general, what does it take to win a tournament like this?
Oh, well, you're going to have to pitch it. You're going to have to get a group effort, and it's not going to be a 1 and a 2. It's going to be a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4, and an 8, and a 9. We're going to play some wild games down there. I expect our offense to compete and do what we do really well. We defend really well on turf, and that's what we're used to, and that's what we're going to go play down at US Ballpark. And so we're going to have to pitch it. We're going to have to play defense. We're going to have to hit and do all 3 phases really well.
And we'll talk about something else real quick. I didn't mention it to you beforehand, but you guys got Michael Slayton back.
Yeah.
He had been out for a while. What's it like to finally get him back in the lineup?
Well, we finally put a lineup together that we kind of saw happening from the beginning of the season. Danny Favazza was out this weekend with in concussion protocol, so he is back full go. Just saw him swing. So we finally have a full lineup. potential. He showed you on against Culver Stockton, hit the first pitch out of the park. So Michael's special talent. He'll have a chance to be the player of the year, certainly all conference. He should be an All-American in my concern. And it doesn't take him long to get back in rhythm.
Yeah.
He's just that type of special athlete.
And finally, what are going to be the keys for you guys to winning this tournament?
Well, we got to play as a team, and we got to not panic, and we do those two things really, really well. Got to get some special performances from guys that we don't expect it, right? And the steady Eddies have to be steady. And there's going to be a freshman somewhere that does something special. Yeah. So that's what it takes to win this thing. I've seen it. I've seen a dog pile happen. I've seen a dog pile happen down at U.S. Ballpark. So we can go get this thing. I'm excited to see this group play.
All right, Coach. Best of luck to you this week.
Thanks. Go Ravens.
Head baseball coach Eric Peterson on the BRSN Insider.
A wise man once said, "The world offers you comfort, but you were not made for comfort. You were made for greatness." Discover what you were made for. Benedictine College, where greatness begins.
On the BRSN Insider, Director of Cross Country and Track and Field Henry Brun. Coach, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me again.
We'll go back a couple weeks. You took athletes to both Central Missouri and KU. What did you see that weekend?
On KU's, the KU Relays, I think it was the 93rd annual, so it's a pretty big meet for us to go to. Thursday evening, we brought Melanie and JD down there to run the 1500. Melanie had a season best there, did really well, and sat herself. She's sitting number one now in the 1500. She's only a few seconds off of qualifying for nationals in that event. And JD keeps chipping away at that 1500, trying to get close to the qualifying standard. So it was a good night for them. On Friday morning, the 4x800 relays went to KU. Didn't do too hot as a whole with the men's or women's relays. It was pretty windy there. And we got some kids a little banged up going into the conference meet who run in that relay. So we're just seeing what we could do to kind of improve to see if there was a shot to try to qualify in those relays again. And it was kind of a wake-up call for a couple people in those relays of, okay, we really need to step our game up if we want to be able to compete at the end of May at Nationals. So even though it wasn't the greatest of performances, it still was a good meet for them to realize where they stand and what they need to do in order to get there. At Central Missouri, we brought the rest of the team. An interesting situation, I guess, with that meet to start the day. One of our legs in the 4x8 at KU actually went to the UCM meet afterwards to run the steeplechase, Kathleen Joyce, because she's going to be doubling in the steeplechase in the 800 at conference. So we wanted her to kind of feel out what that was like. So after running in the 4x8, her and Coach Davis drove out to UCM, and she hopped on the track. It was the first event of the afternoon, and she PR'd by 34 seconds. So she's going to do just fine at conference. It was a good confidence booster for her. Our men's 4x100 relay, we were able to run an optimal relay there. Couldn't get to stick around, but it was promising for what was leading up for what happened in the next couple meets leading here in the conference. And there were some good performances here and there. Throwers keep getting better. I'd say the highlight of the night was our women's 4x400 relay. We ended up running 3:58 in the 4x400. The national qualifying standard is 3:57. So they dropped about 3 or 4 seconds from when they ran it before. And going into conference this weekend, they're sitting 1 second away from qualifying and going to Gulf Shores at the end of May. So it was a good weekend as a whole.
And you get your final tune-up for conference down at Baker last weekend. Talk about what you saw first on the men's side.
Well, the 4x1 qualified for nationals. They figured it out. We got to stick around, some good exchanges. There's definitely some room for improvement there. We've been kind of going back and forth with Baker's 4x1 of who's going to be the better one at conference. We came out on top at their home meet, so that was kind of nice. But hitting the standard was the important factor of the day for them. So that was great. Trey Adger also long jumped, and he tied the school record in the long jump, and he was only 4 centimeters away from qualifying for nationals in the long jump, and he was jumping into a headwind. So hopefully this weekend at the conference meet, he should be able to hit that mark and be able to long jump at nationals too, along with the 4x100. We saw some good things here and there. It's kind of a windy meet,
Yeah.
but we were able to just get some good races in. The throwers made some great improvements as a whole, and some of the jumpers did some good things as well.
Yeah.
And it just kind of set the tone for what it is that we want to do this upcoming weekend going into conference. Because the big thing that I told our athletes is that when it comes to peak season, the coaches aren't here to tell you the same thing they've told you 500 times throughout the season, 100 more times the last week of the season.
Yeah.
And as an athlete, you got to take ownership of what it is that you're training in. You got to know what it is that you're good at. You got to know what it is you got to improve on. And we got to focus on what we need to improve on. Because doing feel-good workouts don't make us better in the long run.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been the big focus at that meet at Baker and then going into this next week for conference.
And what do you see from the women down at Baker?
Maddie Minard actually ran the 400 hurdles for the first time in her life. We figured we'd try it out. She was only a second away from the qualifying standard for nationals in it. So she's actually going to run that again at the conference meet. We're not going to run the multi. She's already qualified for nationals in it. So we're going to give her a little bit of rest, just run some individual events, and she's going to be in a couple relays. But she's going to try again in that. We saw some improvements in our other 400 hurdlers there. Talia Rawls, our freshman sprinter, is looking strong.
Yeah.
And our women's 800 group, the middle distance girls, they ran strong in the 800. And then Paige Case ran a pretty good 5K to start the day off, and she ended up hitting a standard to go to the conference meet. And she was on the bubble trying to go there. So there were some good things there. And, again, we had some good performances by our women's throwers, and that's going to be huge for us at conference to try to get some points here and there. And so as a whole, it's pretty good.
All right, then you guys go to CMU this weekend for the conference meet.
Right.
What are your expectations on the men's side?
Well, we're trying to shoot for a top 3 finish again. We were close indoors. We should be close again outdoors. Our sprinters are the ones who kind of lagged a little bit in the indoor season. They're stepping up in a big way outdoors. I will say that our men's middle and long distance group, they're getting tired because they've been competing since cross-country season. So it's knowing that we got one more week to really put it all out there. We've been resting them up more so than we've been doing with some of our sprinters and everything, just so that they can be ready to compete to the best of their ability this weekend. And then I think the big piece of the puzzle is going to be the 4 throwers that we have going. So we have Spencer Peterson who's going, Alec Convery's going, Eric Renier's going, and Scott Brandon is going. And those 4 are going to be huge for us in the shot, the disc, and the hammer. And if all things come together, I think that we have a legitimate shot at being a top 3 finisher. And our to end the meet, one of our final goals for the men is actually to break the school record in the 4x4.
Yeah.
It's been up 319. It's a record from 2004, I want to say. And we're close. And so we're going to see if we can go out there and finish the meet on a good note, and hopefully we score enough points to be top 3.
Who are some of the individuals that you could see on the men's side competing for a conference title?
JD in the 1500. He's going to have some tough competition from a guy from Evangel. Who's been pretty good. Our men's 4x1, the number 1 team in the conference is William Penn, and we're number 2, and Baker's number 3. We've all qualified for nationals. That's going to be a tight race. We've got Trey, who's going to be doing some long jump as well. We've got some throwers, just the throwers in general. We've got 4 in the top 8 in basically all of those events, so that's going to be competitive. And just see what's going to happen there. And I mean, there's always an opportunity. When you look at a performance list and you see, okay, I made it because I'm in the top 18, and the difference in the 100-meter dash from 1 to 18 is 0.4 of a second, it's anybody's game. So it should be a good meet. There's going to be a lot of contributors on the guys' side.
And now we'll go to the women's side. What are your expectations for the women?
It's another duel with MNU. And every year that's what it is, indoor and outdoor. And they've got the firepower in some areas that we don't. We've got firepower in areas that they don't. And so it's kind of just going toe-to-toe. And Shelly Lowers is going to do the heptathlon. She's going to be trying to win that. She's going to be trying to qualify for nationals in that. It's going to help us set the tone on day 1. Maddie's going to be doing some individual events, and I think she has a legitimate shot at trying to compete to win in the long jump, the 100 hurdles, and the 400 hurdles. And we've got people, Talia Rawls is going to do well in the 100 and the 200. We've got Melanie, who I think is going to be a very big contributor for us this weekend in the 4x800, the 1500, and she's actually going to run the 5K. And I think she has a legitimate shot at going out there and winning that. And it's the same thing with the guys. At the end of the day, we want to end it on a good note. The women's 4x4 wants to go to nationals, and we're going to put all our eggs in that basket at the end. The best 4 runners we got, we're going to put them on the track. We can break through that barrier qualifying.
Yeah.
We send them to nationals, and if we can score enough points, we might be able to edge out MNU. So that's kind of what we're looking at. A lot of contributors on the women's side too.
And then finally, you guys have any last chance qualifier plans at this point?
So we have a few people who are on the bubble, and kind of depending on what this weekend looks like, if it is that we've got a couple people who need to go somewhere, there's a couple meets we're looking at. There's the North Central College meet up in near Chicago, Illinois. They've got the best middle distance races in the country for last chance meets.
Yeah.
So that might be the destination for Mel and JD for the 1500. And we've been doing some plans for that.
Yeah.
And then Emporia State has a meet. We might send some people there if we need to. But otherwise, I think we can get a lot of the job done at the conference meet. And then we kind of rest a little bit before we tune up for that national meet at the end of May.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much, and best of luck to you this
All right, I
weekend.
appreciate it.
Director of Cross Country and Track and Field, Henry Brun, on the BRSN Insider.